Okay, it looks like we're live. The lights in here are really bright. I apologize for that. So tonight, the meditation that we're going to be doing is on a personal bubble. And a lot of times we think of personal bubble as protection, as a space that we feel uncomfortable if other people invade, or people often talk about putting this bubble of protection around them, people especially that are more empathic. And so tonight's bubble meditation is really about breaking out of empathic patterns. They're just really not healthy for us. It's people who are empaths tend to have more sickness, more struggle, more emotional, mental turmoil. So this is really about how to break out of those patterns and have a personal bubble that's more organic, that's more natural creation of our existence. And so the focus is really on that huge shift in perspective. And this is one of those that I've really liked. It's similar to a core shift meditation. So there is a lot going on. Check out Meetup. The private Meetup group is live now. It's a paid Meetup group. I'm giving it tons of free content, including discounts to classes, coupons, information. Some classes are only available through that group. So if you're interested in that, just look up the Inspired Evolution Project Meetup on Google. If you try to search it in Meetup, it may not show up. Anyway, so there's a lot going into that. But what I want to do now is I want to go ahead and I think just go right into the meditation. If any of you have questions, again, you can check that Meetup group, check the Inspired Evolution Project group on Facebook. I am trying to put out notices and updates and contents on Instagram. Instagram is Linda Forrest Muse, so that you can kind of know what's going on. But if you have any questions or want to know more, just post it in comments and I am happy to reply. So with all of that said, I believe I am ready to meditate, and I hope you are too. So I'm just going to go ahead and dive into the meditation. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, so I'm not going to do a lot more than what I've already done to explain it. So let's go ahead and start meditating. So I'm just going to begin by taking a deep breath and relaxing back into my chair. Letting it take the full weight of my body, just relaxing my body into the chair. Just letting anything else that is happening in my life, any of the responsibilities, any of the work, any of the expectations, just letting it all fall away and allowing myself to be in this moment for this meditation. There's nothing else I need. I don't have any other expectations or distractions. I'm just letting myself be here, right now. I want you to shift your focus out into the big picture. Just bring to mind, however it comes to you, the infinite universe, the boundless space of the universe. Just allow your mind to reach all the way out. Go beyond your limits. think further than you can really even wrap your head around. Think of all the planets, all the different galaxies, the stars, the space in between. And now imagine that space, that infinite universe, imagine encapsulating it in a bubble. Of course, this is impossible. But just imagine that the bounds, the furthest reach of the universe that you can imagine is encapsulated in a bubble. And I want you to imagine that bubble is slowly shrinking, just gradually. That the bounds of that universe are getting closer and closer. And whether you imagine space beyond it or not doesn't matter. Put your focus on the bubble. As it shrinks, it may or may not continue to contain everything it contained. You may experience it as everything that was in the infinite universe is being compressed within this bubble. Or it may be just the bubble that is shrinking. Gradually letting go of planets and stars. Just becoming smaller and smaller. And imagine that it becomes small enough to wrap itself around the earth. That this atmosphere, this picture we see of this beautiful blue and green globe is encapsulated within the bubble. And become aware of all the people on the earth, all the animals, all the plants, insects, oceans, land. For a moment, just conceive of how much life exists on our planet. There's more than 7.5 billion humans out there, are all people just like us, living lives, striving for more, feeling feelings, thinking thoughts, each one living their own life. Now I want you to continue to let that bubble collapse. Until it encircles just our country. I think it's 40 million people here, might be more. But imagine that bubble just encircling, shrinking down enough that it's just encircling our country. We have certain things we're all experiencing together that other countries may not be. We're just each having our experience. Each person, you might have family in other states. You might think of places you've lived, vacations you've enjoyed. Now imagine that that bubble continues to shrink until it's just in our general region and eventually encapsulating just our state. And the Wasatch Front. Imagine that it shrinks enough to encapsulate the city where you are right now. Still being aware of the other people in your city, the animals, the plants, all that life. For people that live empathically, they experience that life. They experience the feelings and sometimes the thoughts of other people, and they can feel all the pressure of those people on their psyche. Imagine allowing that bubble to continue to shrink until it's just in your neighborhood, and then around just your house or apartment or wherever you're sitting right now. And it continues to shrink to be just around the room you're in. Now, for some of you, you'll now experience the fact that you might be alone in the room. So this might be the first experience where other life was or wasn't present. For some of us, there is other life in the room we're in. Animals, other people, plants. But I want you to allow that bubble to continue to shrink until it shrinks back to encapsulate your personal space. So I generally think of this as the bottom of our feet when we stand, and the distance our arms can reach. So if you imagine putting your arms above your head and then dropping them down to your sides, bubble would be right where your hand reaches. What is in your bubble? What is it like? Is there any tension or other people's stuff in there? Sometimes we can carry with us what isn't ours. Be aware of what's in your bubble and be aware of how you experience it. Are there sounds in your bubble? Is there imagery or the sensation of atmosphere? Is it different in your bubble? Smells or tastes? I want you to now imagine that your bubble is continuing to shrink. Just gently, peacefully, until it's about maybe the size of a grapefruit. Where is that bubble in you? Do you experience it in your lower abdomen, in the area they call the dantian? Do you experience it in your heart? Is it in the center of your brain? When you allow your bubble to collapse all the way within, where is it? What does it look like? Does it have a color or a certain scent or a flavor? If you picture it in your mind's eye, what does it look like? And I want to give you a few moments. This is going to be a bit of an active meditation. If you've already been writing, that's great, but I'm going to give you a few moments to write. But then we're going to be doing writing as I'm progressing the meditation. But we're going to start with writing a description of that personal bubble as we collapse it and allow it to be small within us. Describe, take some time and describe, where is it? Again, does it have a color? Does it have a scent or a flavor to it? Does it have texture? Is the surface smooth, or is it fuzzy, or does it have a different texture? Is it something that we look at as matter, or is it light, or is it what you'd call energy? How do you experience that bubble? And again, I'm just going to give us a couple of minutes to take notes on that. And then we'll continue to write as we do the last bit of the meditation. So I'm going to fall silent here for just a minute or two while you describe your internal bubble. I want you to start, you can continue with your description if you're describing, but I'd like you to start describing how it feels. How does it feel to have this bubble inside of you? What exists at the very core of your bubble? Can you see something inside of it? So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to connect with the strongest impact your bubble is having on you, the strongest impress. So for some, it might be how it feels. It might have a certain quality to it, a certain emotional context or feeling context to it. For some, it might be the color. For some, it might be the scent. Or there might be some imagery in the bubble that feels important, that feels the most impactful, that's coming through with the most clarity. I want you to focus on that aspect, whatever it is. And I want you to imagine that the very core of your bubble is expanding out. It is growing like blowing up a balloon or stoking a fire. It's not anything you need to force to grow, but I want you to allow it to expand. And as it does, be aware of how, whatever that one aspect was, what impact does that aspect have on your body? And might be a complex question. If you're seeing a color, you might say, how does that color impact my body? How does this scent or this feeling impact my body? And I want you to feel it expand out to where you can feel it all the way to your fingertips and your toes, all the way to the very top of your head. As that bubble expands, what impact does it have on your body? Do you notice anything particular? Now, as you allow the bubble to continue to expand, what impact does it have on the room? How does the bubble affect the room around you? As what was in you, what was in your core expands out to fill the room, as that bubble grows, how does it impact the room? Don't think of anything you have to do. Just notice the natural impact of what exists inside of your bubble. And now imagine that that bubble continues to expand. How does it impact the city or the valley or the whole Wasatch Front? If you allow your bubble to expand, how does it impact that larger area? Now allowing it to continue to expand. What about the country? As the bubble continues to expand, how does it impact the country? Or even letting it expand further, how does it impact the world? Imagining the world encapsulated, sitting within the space of your bubble. And you can let that bubble reach as far out into the universe as you desire. But as it does, I want you to feel something. I want you to connect with the feeling of the bubble within you again, expanding out. So what we're going to do is I want you to create for yourself as homework over the next week. I'm going to give you a complex concept to play with. Don't worry about how far out that bubble went. Feel the next wave of that bubble expanding within you again. And how does it affect your body? And then the room. And then your home. And then the city. and then the country. Imagine this bubble expanding out, and do it once a day or several times a day, and think of it like a ripple. It expands out into infinite universe, and then it builds and grows and expands out again. Each time a deeper, truer, more authentic version of who you are. And I want this to be your homework assignment for the week, your practice for the week. It's your 20 minutes of meditation. I did a brain hack on Monday about the importance of meditating right before bed. So thinking of doing 20 minutes of meditation practice right before bed. If you're a member of the private group, you also got a practice, or a member of the paid meetup group, there's a practice, a little practice that'll set you up for going to sleep and waking up. This is a great meditation to put in that practice, allowing your bubble to grow, and as it reaches beyond your comprehension in the universe, letting it ripple out into infinity where there are no bounds, and then feeling that next wave of bubble grow from your belly and expand out again. So again, you can do this several times a day. I do recommend at least once a day before bed. I want to thank everyone for joining me tonight. I went a little bit over, but I do love meditating with you, and just so grateful that each and every one of you are a part of what I do. I really have no words for how moved I am to be able to express myself in the world. So I just thank all of you for being a part of letting me do that. And I hope that you have absolutely amazing evenings. I hope your meditations this week are brilliant and revealing, and that you know more and more love for yourself every day. So again, however you decide to move forward on your journey, I wish you tremendous success. I hope everyone has a beautiful evening.